In the Galactic arena, silence fell like a hammer. The Tranor soldier raised his clawed hand and slapped the human square across the cheek. It echoed. It stung. And then Logan smiled. The Coalition Vanguard training camp orbited a dead star at the galaxy's edge, chosen specifically because nothing pleasant could survive there, which made it perfect for creating the galaxy's deadliest warriors. 93 species sent their finest, Krillian berserkers with redundant hearts, Vorthan psychics who could predict attacks before muscles moved, Tranor warriors whose scales could deflect plasma fire, and one human. Commander Logan Drake stood out like a sore thumb among the alien elite. Average height by human standards meant he barely reached most trainees' chests. No natural armor. No enhanced senses that anyone could detect. Just flesh, bone, and what the others dismissively called primitive chemical reflexes. The mockery had started day one. Flesh toy was the favorite. Bone Walker came a close second. The Vorthan called him prey species, until their instructor reminded them Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world. Death world or not, Sergeant Reck had laughed, his Tranor vocal cords making it sound like grinding stone. This one looks like he'd break if I breathe too hard. Reck stood 8 feet tall, covered in scales that shifted color with his mood, currently a mocking purple. His species had evolved on a world where the gravity could crush most others flat and the wildlife considered titanium a light snack. He'd been undefeated in the camp's combat trials for 6 cycles. Logan had watched it all with the same mild expression he wore now, standing in the combat circle for cross-species tactical familiarization. Translation: show and tell with violence. Today, the instructor announced, we demonstrate baseline combat capabilities. Sergeant Reck, you'll start. Reck's scales shifted to an arrogant gold. He'd already destroyed training dummies with his claws, bent steel with his grip, and moved with a speed that shouldn't have been possible for something his size. Now, the instructor continued, we need a volunteer for contact demonstration. Reck's head swiveled to Logan like a targeting system locking on. The human. Let's see what Earth's elite can do. Logan stepped forward without hesitation. Several aliens made clicking sounds, their species equivalent of nervous laughter. Standard contact rules, the instructor said. First to yield or incapacitate. Try not to cause permanent. The slap came without warning. Reck's massive hand connected with Logan's face hard enough to echo off the arena walls. Hard enough that several species winced in sympathy. Hard enough that a lesser being would have been unconscious before hitting the ground. Logan's head snapped to the side. A red mark bloomed across his cheek. The arena went silent except for Reck's rumbling chuckle. See? Soft. Like all mammals. I barely used it. Logan moved. Not in the way the aliens expected, no roar of rage, no wild swing, no desperate tackle. He moved like water finding the fastest path downhill. Like physics had suddenly become optional. His hand shot up, caught Reck's wrist, and twisted. The angle was impossible. The leverage was wrong. But Reck's arm bent anyway, scales scraping as they tried to resist. Logan's foot swept behind Reck's knee, the one supporting all that weight, while his shoulder drove into the Tranor's center mass at exactly the wrong angle for 8 feet of evolved predator to remain standing. Reck hit the ground like a meteor strike. Before the giant could process what happened, Logan had transitioned. Knee on spine. Reck's arm twisted up and back in a hold that turned all that impressive Tranor strength into a liability. Logan's free hand pressed specific points along Reck's neck. Spots no Tranor knew could shut down their neural responses. Yield, Logan said quietly. Reck tried to move. Nothing responded properly. His mighty muscles might as well have been decorative. He tried to speak and found his vocal cords weren't cooperating either. I said yield, Logan repeated, applying exactly 1% more pressure. Blink twice for yes. Once for medical attention. 2 blinks. Rapid. Desperate. Logan released him and stood, brushing dust off his uniform. The elapsed time from slap to submission, 2.7 seconds. Reck scrambled backward, one hand clutching his throat, the other supporting his weight. His scales had shifted to a color none of them had seen before, pale, almost translucent. Fear. Please, he gasped when his voice returned. I yield. How? The arena erupted. Shouts in dozens of languages. Disbelief in even more. The instructor was calling for order while frantically reviewing combat footage on his data pad. Logan walked to the water station, took a drink, and finally addressed the staring crowd. That was muscle memory. Where I come from, we call it a Tuesday. Impossible, a Vorthan psychic protested. I couldn't read your moves. There was no intent, no planning, just nothing. That's the point, Logan said. You don't think about breathing. You don't plan to blink. You just do. That's what combat is to us. Not a skill, a reflex. The instructor finally managed to restore order. Commander Drake, that technique. What do you call it? Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu mixed with Krav Maga. Little bit of MCMAP thrown in. Basic stuff. Basic, someone whispered in horror. An emergency meeting was called. Footage was analyzed frame by frame. Experts were consulted. The conclusion was unanimous and terrifying. The human hadn't used enhanced strength or speed. He'd simply understood leverage, physics, and anatomy at a level that turned Rex's advantages into weaknesses. He's not stronger, the combat analyst reported. He's just inevitable. Like gravity. Logan was called before the camp's command staff. General Vexar, a being that looked like crystallized shadow, studied him with what might have been eyes. You could have killed him. Yes. Why didn't you? Logan tilted his head slightly. Wasn't the objective. He slapped me. I submitted him. Anything more would have been excessive. You call that restraint? I call that training. Earth doesn't create warriors, General. It creates survivors who know exactly how much force solves a problem. No more. No less. And if he had used claws? Weapons? Logan's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes shifted. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Then we wouldn't be having this conversation. You'd be filing casualty reports. The camp changed after that day. Logan gave seminars on human combat philosophy. Lessons that left hardened warriors questioning everything they knew about fighting. He demonstrated techniques that turned size into disadvantage, strength into vulnerability, aggression into opportunity. But more than techniques, he taught them fear. Not of human strength, but of their adaptability. Their ability to find solutions in violence the way others found patterns in music. Rek approached him a week later, holding a ceremonial trainer blade. For you, a mark of respect. And apology. Logan accepted it, strapping it to his belt with practiced efficiency. Keep the apologies. Just remember the lesson. Which is, you don't hit to hurt, you hit to end. Everything else is just showing off. Rek's scales shifted, respect mixed with lingering fear. I'll remember. Others will too. The story's already spreading. Good, Logan said. Maybe the next guy will think twice before slapping someone just because they look soft. As Rek walked away, another trainee approached. A young Krillian trying to look brave. Commander, that move you did, could you teach me? Logan studied him for a moment, then nodded. Sure. First lesson's free. Someone slaps you, you don't get angry. You get specific. Anger makes you stupid. Specific makes you dangerous. The Krillian nodded eagerly, not noticing how every other trainee in earshot had gone very, very still. Word spread through the galaxy's military networks like wildfire. The footage, those 2.7 seconds, became required viewing in tactical schools. Not as an example of human strength, but human efficiency. The absolute economy of violence delivered with surgical precision. A new saying emerged in the ranks. Never touch a Deathworlder unless you're prepared to see stars. Either the ones in space or the ones behind your eyelids. Your choice. Years later, when asked about the incident in an interview, Logan would shrug. People always assume Deathworlders are dangerous because of our environment. They're half right. We're dangerous because our environment taught us that every second counts. Every movement matters. Every choice could be your last. So you don't fight to win? We fight to go home. Winning's just a step in that process. The interviewer paused. And the trainer who slapped you? Logan almost smiled. He learned something important that day. The most dangerous thing about humans isn't that we're strong. It's that we've turned survival into muscle memory. We don't rise to the occasion, we fall to our level of training. And our training assumes everything is trying to kill us. Even a slap? Especially a slap. Where I come from, disrespect is just the preview. Violence is the feature film. Better to end it during the credits. The legend of the Galactic Arena incident grew with each telling, but the core remained the same. A massive alien warrior slapped a human and learned why Earth was classified as a death world. Not because of its predators or climate or gravity. Because it produced beings who could take a slap to the face and, in less than 3 seconds, reshape reality to their advantage. The official report filed in the Coalition archives ended with a simple warning that became mandatory reading for all species engaging with humans. Homo sapiens possess a trait more dangerous than any natural weapon, the ability to weaponize anything, including their own bodies, with such efficiency that violence becomes indistinguishable from instinct. Approach with respect. Touch with permission. Threaten at your own risk. But in the barracks and bars where soldiers gathered, the warning was simpler. You want to know what makes humans special? They don't just survive their death world. They become it. And when you slap one across the face, you're not insulting a person, you're challenging millions of years of evolution that turned survival into an art form. Still think you want to test one? After seeing what happened to Rek? I'd rather arm wrestle a black hole. At least with the black hole, you know what you're getting into.